And so this is all part of when you really look at what do you want to do so that at 70, 80, 90, you can do all the things you want to be able to do. I think yoga needs to be in there. And I I'm the person that goes to yoga class and watches and goes, okay, I'm a 10th of the way through. All right, I'm a 20th. I count every minute and I'm doing the math all in my head about how much I'm through it. It's like, yeah.
And you get
But
to Shavasana and you're like, I did it.
I know. I've never regretted it. I posted the other day, I've never once regretted getting my butt to the gym, getting myself to yoga class, never once regretted it. And all you have to tell yourself is, I'll just go. I'll just go show up. I can always leave if I want, because you never do. You always end up doing your thing. But, we tend to not think about balance and flexibility and stability. And yes, you can put a lot of that in when you're doing free weights, but boy, having to do like crow pose, and that kind of and Warrior 3 and these types of things is really challenging. So I am big time. I think that yoga should be something you factor in once a week.
Yeah, and I think it's so reasonable, and and what you're saying, because we're talking about power and strength, which are sort of two maybe distinct verticals, really, when we're thinking about the exercise cocktail that we all should be engaging in, and then we'll get to cardio in a moment. But I think that flexibility, pliability, and then of course the proprioception that comes from that, the Warrior 3, you're not really,
Mhm.
especially if you're sort of reaching, you're not really looking at where your arm is going. You're just kind of figuring out what's happening there. I think yoga is important. That's something that I've recently taken up. I always had a general, like you, I'll
Mhm.
lift weights every day, all day, baby, like no problem. But just noticing, wanting to keep that mobility and that flexibility and that pliability, that capsular stretch that I can get in the joints.
Yep.
So started doing some hot yoga. I don't know if I can count that as zone 2. I'm gonna ask, that's a question I have for you. Can I count it? Because I'm sweating like a mother in those
I
hot
don't think
yogas.
so, but I think we get too blown out about these things.
Yeah.
When you really look at where you want to excel in all of these things, and we're doing all of this ultimately to be able to be better at life, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing it. But
And
then
to
you look
age
and go,
powerfully, to your
and
say,
to
like, to
age
your point.
powerfully,
Yeah, yeah.
to hold on to those fast twitch muscles. That's why I think of powerful. And that's where I love this concept of high velocity resistance training, where you work, one day a week, you would do, say, 1 to 6 repetitions, 4 sets, about a 3-minute break. But you are doing, and this is where you're probably going to be better off in some of the moves using machines, unless you have a spotter. Like, I'm not doing a chest press without a spotter as powerfully as possible.
Yeah.
I saw someone at Gold's Gym once drop the bar on their chest. I never need to ever test that one. But, doing something fast and hard one day a week, to really push the strength and power side of the equation, or one day a week doing your hit training, but doing your hit training in a way that really pushes the power in multiple different planes, and doing rotation. I love to do wood chops, and then doing side lunges, and then doing straight jumps. Like, what are the different things that I can push my body through that we did when we were kids? Mountain climbers, side planks with raises, stuff you would never do now unless you had someone yelling at you in a class to do it,
Right,
right?
right, right. I love that.
Oh, another one, Stephanie, that has totally helped. This is, how they say you don't wanna ever be the smartest person in the room?
Yes, find another room.
So,
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm,
in the
mhm.
gym, I never wanna be the youngest person in the class. So my goal always is to go to the class where I'm like, the grandma in the class. And literally, we go to a HIIT class that has one side of the room are sprint treadmills, and one side of the room is our stations with TRX and kettlebells and plates and a step bench and bands. And you do all sorts of horrific things, right? But it's 50 minutes and in cycles, and we are literally the oldest people in the class. I mean, I look at it and go, not only could I have given birth to you, I could have given birth to you and your kid, is now my grandkid. So
Right,
do
right.
that.
I think I love that, and I think what I'm hoping, I remember thinking, watching the Super Bowl, it was a couple years ago, and J-Lo and Shakira were the hosts, or the halftime show.
Mhm.
And at the time, I think J-Lo was like 50, 51, some, I don't know her exact age at the time of the show, but it was like early 50s. Shakira was like mid 40s. And I remember thinking, this is what I want to feel like when I'm 50 and when I'm 40, to have that mobility in my hips, to be able to get on a pole if I so choose, to be able to dance my butt off if,
Mhm.
for the time and with that intensity.